I'm Chris, and today we're looking at Audioslave's 2003 hit, Show Me How to Live. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but for me, this is one of Tom Morello's best guitar riffs. At the very least, I think it's kind of a hidden gem. What is undeniable, though, is that if you're having any sort of trouble with your strumming or picking rhythm, this is a great song to learn to brush up on that. Before we get started, we have to get our guitars into drop D tuning. All that means is you're going to drop your 6th string from an E down a whole step to a D note. It's going to sound like this. Our intro is made up of just 2 power chords, D5 and E5, and we're doing a string mute in between. So our open D5 chord is the open D string, first finger, 2nd fret of the G, then 2nd finger, 3rd fret of the B. We're not hitting the high E string, fret 2, which would make it a D major. Then, before we go to the D chord, we're doing this picking hand mute, where you're going to hit the strings with the pick like you would normally, but simultaneously you're going to bring the side or edge of the picking hand down on the strings. It's kind of like a chop motion. You can see when I do this, I don't actually need to do much muting with my fretting hand here. It takes a little bit to practice, but just try to line up this side of the hand coming down at the same time as the pick. From there, we go to our E5 power chord, which is just your regular drop D power chord shape. You're going to do a bar across the at least bottom 2 strings. You can also include the D string in there like I did on the tab. So we're playing 2, 2, 2. Here's the part. And we do that 4 times before we go into our main riff. This is by far the most complicated section, so we're going to go through it very slowly, essentially 1 beat at a time. The key to getting it feeling right is subdividing your strumming into 16th notes. So what that means is 4 strums per beat. It's counted as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. At this tempo also, at full speed, it's really more of a bounce. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. This is where keeping your wrist and your hand posture super loose and relaxed is crucial. If this is new for you, this is where you start, just trying to get used to this constant motion. You can do it in the air like I am right now, or just mute the strings. It feels kind of silly to do, but it will pay off in the long run because then you'll be much more comfortable handling all the different rhythms and syncopations that we do in the riff. We begin the main riff with 4 16th notes. You're starting with a down pick on the open low string, hammering onto fret 2. Then you kind of slowly roll that first finger up to make the full bar on the E power chord by doing a down pick on 2 of the A string, followed by 2 on the D string with an up pick. This can ring out. You don't have to be too precious with the notes not bleeding into each other. It sounds cool when they do that. And then we mute that right afterwards. That's why there's a rest after that. After the rest, we do an up pick mute. A quick note on how I've notated the mutes. I did the down mutes as just the low string and the ups as the bottom 3. This isn't super specific. I just want to illustrate the fact that it's okay to grab some higher strings when you come up with the mute. It actually sounds better because then it's going to make your mute sound a little bit different. But again, it's not an exact science. So we've done our rest, mute, down pick on the open low D string. And here's for what we got for beats 1 and 2. All right, beat 3 starts with fret 2 on the low string again, and then mute, mute. We finish up this measure with just 2 down picks. It's 0, 2. Here it is all together. All right, then measure 2 starts with 2 mutes, down, up. We have to move on the fretboard now to bring our first finger onto fret 7 of the low string. From there, you're going to hammer your 2nd finger onto fret 8, and then go back to 7 with a down pick. Then it's back to 2 mutes before we do kind of the trickiest stretch here, but let's play those first 2 beats back to back. All right. We're playing 7 again, but this time we're going to use our pinky because we have to grab fret 2 on the same string 1/16 note after it with an up pick. So we're doing a combination of a stretch and a position move with our hand, because I can't get that. I'm sure someone can, but I don't have the biggest hands, and I don't think Tom Morello does either. He's kind of constantly moving throughout this riff, so you always want to be thinking ahead to the next note. You do this little stretch hop. We rest after that, so you want to mute your strings before we do an up pick on 2, a down pick on 5 with the pinky now that we're back in this position, and then an up pick on open, rest, and then pop back up for one last open. So that ending bit there, starting with fret 2 up pick, is... You can practice any little chunk of this riff. It might sound a little bit weird starting on an offbeat. As long as you're keeping the picking consistent, you'll be doing fine. So here's all of measure 2. All right, so we'll put those first 2 measures together. Kind of whiffed it on the last note there, but you get the idea. Luckily for us, measure 3 is exactly the same as measure 1, and you just rest for the 4th bar. Here's the whole riff. As with any good rock song, the verse is just the main riff again, but with palm muting. To make that happen, rest the edge of your picking hand lightly on the strings right next to the bridge. That's going to give it that muffled sound. It will probably complicate the riff a little bit more for you because it's going to be feeling different to put that bounce into your hand for those constant 16th notes we're trying to do. But with practice, you'll get it. Start with the first main riff without the palm muting, and then move onto the bridge. Remember, just try to add one thing at a time. Here's what it should sound like. Now, we do that 3 times in a row for this first verse. On the 4th measure, we're building up into the chorus, and he's just doing muted strings. Here's the rhythm. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, up. That's it. Okay, I'll be honest. The chorus is my favorite part to play of the song. It's probably got a lot to do with the big chunky power chords you get to play, as well as the fun hammer-ons and pull-offs. So we start with a big chunky E power chord. That's first finger, fret 2. We're going to slide that up to fret 5 for a big chunky G power chord. Next, we are going to pop up with an up pick on the open low string, do a down pick on fret 2, and then pull off to 0. We then repeat that 2-0 move. So that's up, down, down. Okay, next we have to scoot up the fretboard here to hit fret 5 on the A string. Then we're going to do a hammer-on onto fret 7. Naturally, I have a tendency to use my pinky here. It just feels more comfortable the way the riff goes and at the tempo it's at. You can also just use your 3rd finger, as you probably should, but I'm breaking the rules a little bit. So that's down pick on 5 to the hammer-on, and then a down pick on open low string. You can see first finger's really taking charge here. We're sliding it up for the power chords, and then going from fret 2 down here to fret 5. You're leading with the first finger. And that's it for every chorus. The song follows the standard verse-chorus form again, and then we're on to the guitar solo. Just kidding. As far as Morello solos go, this one is pretty straightforward. Playing-wise, all you're doing is tremolo picking the open high E string, like this. I've notated it as triplet 16ths, but just go at it as fast as you can, pretty much. In terms of the effects, from watching some live videos, it looks like he's doing some delay, maybe a light tremolo as well, and then probably gradually manipulating a wah pedal or maybe the whammy. I couldn't really tell. Regardless of any of that stuff, though, you get out of the solo by going to an E power chord with the root note on the D string. So that's first finger, 2nd fret of the D, 3rd finger, fret 4 of the G, and then your pinky finger on fret 5 of the B. And that's that. Coming out of the wackiness that is the solo, we're simply back to playing the intro power chords for the third verse. The drums and bass build up as it goes along, but the guitar just keeps doing that same thing. If you're playing this in a live situation, I recommend rolling down your volume here on your guitar a little bit to make that smaller, because it's going from one single guitar track playing this intro part back into a double track stereo guitar. So you want to adjust the dynamics that way. The outro is just caveman rock at its best. You're just smashing two drop D power chords back and forth. We start with E5. We hit it again. Hit the open D5. And then you go right back to E5. Here it is in context. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1. After you roll through that, you just let that last E5 power chord ring out as Chris Cornell karate chops his windpipe. I am not kidding. Look up a live video. There you have it. The song itself is pretty straightforward, but this is for sure one of Morello's more difficult riffs to pull off accurately. If you enjoyed yourself, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel, or you can also find me on Instagram, @Chris K. Malloy. See you later.